I hate my body. I hate my body. I hate.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is...
Morning Somewhere!
For October 11th, 2024. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. She doesn't hate her body, because she's about to be replaced by a robot. It's Ashley Burns, everybody.
I'm going to get some nice robot gams.
Dude, it is so weird now. It's just weird. 2024 is weird. It's like you go through your whole week, you talk about all these different things, and then you show up on Friday, and it's like, today's just robot day, right? That's like...
Friday's the day we talk about robots.
Hope you want to hear about robots, everybody, because it's all robots today. Everything's robots all the way down. I got a buddy of mine, Flash 2000. I should some point talk about the origin of his name. It's really funny. But he's the guy who's of my friend group who's like worried about the robot uprising, the Terminator scenario. So I always send him like robot stuff whenever there's something disturbing about robots.
I'm sure you're a big help. When was his last nervous breakdown?
No, he's fine. He's well adjusted. He's fine. But so then he, as a result of that, always sends me like zombie stuff. He sent me this article that's come out recently about the zombie mushroom that's been found in Scotland.
Oh, yeah, the zombie fungus.
Cordyceps or whatever, yeah. Just so everyone knows, apparently that only affects a certain kind of spider, you know? So, I mean, zombie spiders is a little scary, but it's not as scary as like human-infected mushroom stuff.
Right, until the spiders get really, really big. And don't worry about us. We've got our zombie plan.
As the popular series Last of Us taught us in their really cool intro on the TV show, that these cordyceps that take over ants exist, but the reason why they can't infect humans is they're not at the right temperature range. But with climate change going up, it could breed these mushrooms, Ashley, that reach a survivable temperature range that is the same as the internal temperature of humans. And then we have a problem on our hands.
Then we have a big problem indeed. Yeah. And that was just in the show, right? They didn't have that sort of explicit explanation in the game. That was something they did just for the show.
No, the game opens with the outbreak happening, and you play as the daughter of Joel for a little while, and then take over as Joel. But it's really, we actually did a video back in the day at Rooster Teeth where it takes place just outside of Austin. And so we thought it'd be fun to make a video to try to find this actual location based on like mile markers and road signs.
Like road signs and figure out like, all right, they were on this road, but they were headed towards this. And just basically gallivanting around in the dark.
And then like 45 minutes into it, we're like, is this even a good idea? Let's go for milkshakes.
And ended up at a Sonic.
We did. It looked like a sponsored video, even though it wasn't, because we ended up at Sonic drinking milkshakes. What are you going to do?
All roads lead to Sonic.
All roads lead to Sonic,
Although, honestly, I mean, it's Texas. It should be all roads lead to Waffle House.
Oh, Waffle House is more of like a southeast
I guess that's true.
thing.
Whataburger.
Yeah.
All roads lead to the Whataburger.
All hurricanes lead to Waffle House is what it is.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. A lot of people have been learning about the Waffle House Index with these recent hurricanes,
What is the Waffle House Index?
So it's like a heat map of these Waffle House restaurants, because they're 24-hour restaurants. It's this chain that's quite dense in the South where a lot of these hurricanes have been. And there's this heat map of where restaurants are closed, and where restaurants are closed is estimated to be the worst damage of a hurricane. Because if a Waffle House can stay open, it's going to stay open. I guess they have a philosophy as well during these disasters where people are going to need a place to get food.
Right.
They're going to need a place to like plug in and charge phones or find people. And so all roads during a hurricane lead to the Waffle House.
Right.
But they use the closures to track where the most damage is estimated to be. It's kind of weird. They did something similar with Whataburger, actually, during the Texas freezes. Do you remember people were using the Whataburger app to determine where power outages were?
Right. The grid had gone down, and then people were trying to figure out where power had been restored. And someone came up with this ingenious idea to load the Whataburger app and see on their map which locations had opened, and they could pretty accurately like map the grid of where power was being restored.
Yeah, future's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. Oddly enough, there's Whataburger cups in Last of Us as well. People were very excited to see the orange and white striped cup. Yeah, but it's weird. I feel like Waffle House got some good PR for being open during hurricanes, and they just kind of leaned into it. And now this is like a thing that Waffle House provides.
Well, I also read that the guy who sort of started this Waffle House Index, who was working with Waffle House, ended up going off to work with FEMA.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bizarre. And it sounds really cool, too, like the whole Waffle House thing. It's like, oh, my God, it gives people a place to go when there's this natural disaster. It's like, and they can charge their phone and get food. And you're like, aw.
That's nice.
And then you're realizing the other side of that is the workers at Waffle House are being told you have to show up to work during this natural disaster.
Yeah, I guess that's
And then
true.
you're like, nah.
Do they get a hazard bump like astronauts or something?
I would think that you get hazard pay just for working at Waffle House. Based on some of the videos I've seen on YouTube, that place seems like bedlam all the time.
You know what, though? It's got to be the 24-hour breakfast that's doing it, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're showing up to get eggs and hash browns at like 2:30 in the morning after the bars have closed, you probably have a big overlap in the Venn diagram of people who are comfortable throwing a stool over a counter. It's pretty wild to work there, but I don't think the employees at Waffle House have to worry about it too much longer, actually, because Tesla is going to replace them with all robot workers soon, I'm sure.
Right, they did. So Tesla had their We Robot event, and that was like presentation, and they basically unveiled the Robotaxi, which has been the long promised driverless taxi offering from Tesla, and it's kind of weird. Yes.
How do you remember this initially being pitched when they first started talking about taxi Teslas?
You go to work, you get out of your car, and you put your car in taxi mode, and it will go around and it will pick people up and drop them off, and it will work for you while you work, and it will free up parking spaces and so on and so forth.
I remember this exact same pitch.
It'll be
your car making money for you.
Right. Yes. And that's not what they're showing now. Now what they're showing is seems to be a purpose-built vehicle that has 2 seats, no steering wheel, no pedals. It's entirely autonomous. And the thing is, it's not the first to market. When they initially promised it or initially started talking about it, maybe it would have been, but that's no longer the case because there's things like Waymo that are operating in, I want to say, San Francisco already. And
it's on its way to Austin now, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so it's now not even first to market. It does look very cool, though. It looks like someone took the best parts of a Cybertruck, if you can find those, and mushed it with a Tesla and then made it fit 2 people. It's a pretty cool looking vehicle.
It does look like a vehicle from 2025. It does. Asterisk 2025. But they also showed off the latest concept of their Optimus bipedal robot, and it's like what it can do, and it was dancing, and it'll wipe your counter and babysit your kids was one of the things he mentioned.
Yeah. No, it will not. I know that in the presentation Elon Musk said that, and I'm like, nope, robot doesn't get the kids.
And I don't want to sound too cynical because this stuff is really cool and exciting, and I want all of these things to exist. I want them all to be in reality, and I'm very excited about the potential of that. But I'm just like, I'm getting kind of cynical. After 10 years of watching these Tesla presentations, I just feel like Elon Musk is an influencer at this point in time, right?
Oh,
is it fair to say that?
Absolutely.
And it's just, I don't know what his deal is when he gets up there. And I don't know if he goes off script or there's no script, but it's dramatically underwhelming to watch these presentations because the way he talks about this stuff, he doesn't seem like he's interested in it really. Or he just goes like, yeah, this is gonna, we got this robot, it'll cost, probably less than a car. It'll be like $20,000 or $30,000. Like $20,000, $30,000. It'll be, this will come out in 2025, like before 2026. It'll, it's gonna be. It's like, what are you doing up there? What are you doing?
It's like he flipped off the teleprompter, decided to do it on his own, and then didn't remember all the details, or that there aren't enough actual concrete details, so it's all sort of wishy-washy. And that's the thing, though. Tesla delivers some really cool stuff, but first of all, their timelines are never on.
Never.
And second of all, they promise really big things based on current technology that they will not be able to deliver on the current technology.
Right. Like when we talked about full self-driving, they've been talking about this for 10 years, and they were talking about it with like the Model S. Like, here's the Model S.
The
and
original.
Full self-driving. It's going to do this and that. And then you come to find out 2 years from now, well, it's not that car. It's a new version of that car. Then you find out it's not that car. It's the next car in the line. So it's just over 10 years taught me it's not going to be this robot. It's not going to be this Robotaxi. It's not going to be this Robovin. They had a 12-passenger van that would show up, 20 passenger like box. It looks cool, but I like the concept of it. But when are you actually going to see this thing in practice?
Probably when they roll up on a Waffle House at 2:30
and everybody spills out for hash browns. God,
bring your own chair.
I just feel like with Elon Musk, it's like it's almost like you want to sit the guy down and go like, look, your Steve Jobs, Tony Stark era, it's just over, or it just didn't happen, right? And they got to get someone else to present this stuff. But to me, it's incredibly ironic that the head of the company that is going to replace all these workers with robots, that head of that company won't be replaced because he's the big influencer in his moment, right?
Right.
When I hate to say it, it's so clear they just got to have someone else doing this stuff. Anybody else.
Someone who seems interested would be a great start.
Yeah.
But I think the big question, Bernie, is you're going to get these. They're going to get robot workers at the Waffle House, and then someone is going to hack into them, and the robot workers are just going to start swearing up a storm at all the people in the restaurant.
I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the guy who hacked the Roomba or whatever it was, the robot vacuum?
Yes, although I think you might be talking about something different. But yes, robot vacuums are getting hacked. It's these specific model of like EcoVac robots that have been getting hacked. And
EcoVac? I've never heard of that brand.
It's a Chinese brand. It's EcoVacs. It's specifically their D-Bot X2. And people are hacking into these robots so they can see through the camera that the robot has.
Actually, that's what we use to babysit our kids, right? They've been hacked?
That's where the kids picked up all the swear words. And then they've been, people have been getting into these robots and then using the speaker on the robot to like roll over and like start swearing at the family. It's like, it's creepy if you like zoom out and think of all the possibilities. Like you are in the shower and you turn around and there's a robot just peeking in the door.
Right. That would have cameras on them, you said, right?
Yeah, that would be very, very uncomfortable. This is like, it's still uncomfortable because it's your robot swearing at you, but it could be worse.
Man, I always love when people do like funny hack experiments, not hacking someone else's stuff, but like they take their own device and hack it. Do you remember the YouTube video where the guy took a Roomba and the way it navigates the room is by bumping into stuff, and it maps the room and the objects in the room just by navigation and memory of what it bumps into? But he accessed that algorithm, and whenever it bumped into something, he had a speaker so it would yell and scream every time it bumped into something like, ow!
I do remember that. It wasn't the video, like it was like him and his family sitting down to dinner and this robot in the background just hitting the walls and swearing.
I think he's a young guy. I think he was having dinner with his parents, and they're just like, so how was your day? It was great. And in the background, you hear bump, son of a bitch!
No, that kind of hack is a lot of fun.
I love that kind of stuff. I love channels that try to do like just goofy little experiments that are mostly harmless. Like a lot of times they're blowing shit up now, and I worry about some of these guys who are doing stuff in their backyard, and it's like they're making like chlorine gas and shit like that. I just like people who just do fun, goofy stuff, and it's basically harmless. There was a guy I found recently. Let me look him up here. His channel name is Joel Creates. I don't know the actual name of the creator, but the channel name is Joel Creates.
I'm going to assume his name is Joel.
I'm going to assume it's Joel as well.
Just going out on a limb here.
What if his first name is Bill? His name is Bill Joel. But I love this channel because it also falls in a category of channels that I find fascinating, where they have a decent sub count, and he has about 500,000, about 500,000 subscribers on his channel. But their view counts on their videos way outperform their subscribers. So that means it's getting out to people that are not within their subscriber base.
Like every video goes viral, basically.
Not everyone, but he's got a really high slugging average. And the one that I found was, I don't know why, I was kind of curious, like, how many plants would it take to recreate a breathable atmosphere? Like in a closed environment. Like in
a
your
human
house.
terrarium.
Yeah. Like a human terrarium, right. Like you wanted to create your own oxygen to breathe. Like what would it take to do that? And here's a guy who was trying to figure that out. And he had run a couple different videos in a series, or a couple different experiments in a series of videos where he had these like 55-gallon drums that he had put these little ecosystems in with algae. that would scrub the CO2 and create new oxygen. And then he would like lock himself into this homemade airtight closet, put on a mask with a hose, and just breathe from that exclusively.
And just like measure what, his CO2 readings?
Yeah, well, he had like, they look like, honestly, I have some of these meters myself. They're like off Amazon. He had these little CO2 meters. In fact, one of them fails during one of his experiments, starts giving him incorrect readings, which is not a good thing. And he's just running this experiment while people, like someone in his house is watching him and monitoring him to make sure
making sure he's safe,
pass out or whatever. At one point, he's like up to like 7,000 parts per million of CO2, and he's trying to figure out why and how. So he gets on and Google's like, well, the OSHA board in Minnesota said that we can breathe 10,000 parts per million for up to 8 hours. So I'm okay with that. It's like, maybe check another site while you're doing it.
Maybe second source. You know what though? I do love that. I love that concept. And then when you apply it to things like sci-fi, green sci-fi, I don't know if that's its actual term, is an aesthetic I really love. We're like talking intergalactic spaceships, right?
Like organic stuff?
Yeah, like a big spaceship that's traveling between the stars, and it has a forest in it, or like
right.
fields and things like that for actually growing things. So it can be this sort of self-sustaining. And yes, they've got this forest that generates oxygen for the ship and things like that. I think those are super cool.
Yeah, I always love that stuff as well because, you know, it's weird because we have things like this that exist and they almost seem like sci-fi levels of technology, like the ISS or like the book The Martian, which is fiction, but it is heavily based on current technology or at least near future technology. And the ability to like just create oxygen and scrub CO2 out of the environment is a huge challenge. And they just seem to do it. Like we've never heard of a crisis on the ISS where they're like, they might run out of oxygen. It was actually Apollo 13. One of the things they ran into was their CO2 scrubbers looked like they were failing and they had to like on the fly engineer CO2 scrubbers in order to stay alive in the capsule.
That does sound like science fiction because I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not a scientist. Scrubber sounds like a sci-fi term to me. That sounds like a magic box that does thing.
Right.
Right.
It just you're going to poison yourself if you produce CO2, which you do as a human every time you breathe. So you have to get that out of the environment.
Bernie, are you calling me toxic?
Ashley, do better. But while we're talking about that, this whole conversation does remind me of an influencer. And I love when like old school OG YouTubers go off and do cool things. And there's a guy out there I don't think gets enough credit. Joe Penna, who most people would know as Mystery Guitar Man.
Oh, yeah, I know that name.
Right. He has gone on after his YouTube career and has had a very successful film directing career where he's made some incredible movies. Like he made a movie called Arctic with Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
And then he made a movie with, it's what you're talking about. It's like a spaceship with green algae that they use to breathe and create oxygen and scrub CO2. And it's got, what is her? She's the cup girl. She does like the cup song with the, I got a ticket for the long way home. Anna Kendrick. That's it.
You need to be a little bit more careful when you ask the name of cup girls.
Oh, yeah. Who's the cup girl from the internet? Who's in the movie? Yeah, no. It's Anna Kendrick. But he made a movie called Stowaway, and it's about the ship, like a long haul ship, and they create their oxygen using like beds of algae, essentially tanks of algae. And I don't want to give anything away, but it's called Stowaway. So the resources are very precisely planned for the people that are on it, but then another human ends up on board and how they deal with that.
Oh, because that's going to throw everything off balance.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a pretty straightforward premise, but a really enjoyable movie and a really great cast from what I recall. It's not just...
No, I'm looking this up now. It looks like it's also got Daniel Day Kim, Toni Collette. Wow.
Yeah.
He's working with names. That's amazing.
He casts really, like Mads Mikkelsen, he casts really great people in this project. So good on Joe Penna.
We should check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So big thanks to Joe Penna.
Something to do for this weekend.
For something to watch. This weekend also, in addition to something to watch, I should note, we're going to be doing a Patreon Q&A this weekend. So there will be post up on the Patreon if you are one of our patrons. Please check that out. Ask a Q. We will aid it this weekend, and we'll have that posted up. Also, want to say a big thank you to our sponsors for today, former RTX Guardian Adrian Knutson and Alan the Vast. Thank you both for sponsoring our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere.
All right. Thank you guys very much. And thank the rest of you for tuning in this week, ending October 11th, 2024. We will be back to talk to you on Monday. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.